So congratulations to everyone who played. That was a marathon. It went on for hours and hours, and you all deserve props for sticking with it, and especially the finalists for making it through to the end. Each of you have an angle. I think you all, we'll see what happens tonight. But what the plan is, everyone's going to do an opening statement, then all the jurors are going to ask a question. The questions will be done in reverse boot order. So starting with Cody, ending with Amber. And the opening statements will just be like 2 or 3 minutes long, and they're going to be in alphabetical order. So starting with Bryce and ending with Stan. And there'll be closing statements at the end. The jurors will have complete control when they have the floor. So if they want somebody to else to talk, just raise your hand and I can mute one of the finalists if they're going on too long. But you have the floor when you're a jury member during this part. So good luck, everybody, and I'll let Bryce start whenever he's ready.
Okay, so for anybody who doesn't already know, my name is Bryce, and I wasn't supposed to be on the show. I was the second alternate, and when I got that message 2 minutes after the game had already started that I had 5 minutes to join if I wanted in, I didn't care that I was starting in a bad spot. I came in missing 2 weeks of talk, not being able to get voted for tribe captain or even vote for someone myself, and even was waiting on, and everybody was waiting on me to join, and yet all I felt was excitement that I had a chance. I knew all I needed was a chance. I jumped at the opportunity and came with a clear strategy to adapt. It sounds simple, but it's far from that. I believe most people try to go into this game like this with a set strategy, but in the game of Survivor where anything can happen, a set strategy is the easiest way to get voted out, in my opinion. Even getting picks near the end proves that things weren't looking too good for me, so my starting strategy was that I needed to lay low and make some friends and win as many challenges as I could. With my help, our tribe was able to win every challenge to start the season, and even in the Apple challenge, my strategy not only got us to win, but also got me the extra vote advantage. Going into the merge with my extra vote, we decided that I would go to the other tribe and try and convince them I was a swing vote. Frank made the plan somewhat easier because he decided to have me say his name. I thought the strategy would be for me to end up hearing what name they said, but going with it was fine with it if Frank wanted to put a target on his back, even if he didn't have to. But here's my secret. I knew the other tribe knew I wasn't going to go with them, and I had a feeling they wouldn't vote Frank because that's the obvious play for us to play an idol. But what I did know is they always had to ask what if. What if Bryce is actually on our side? Well, I knew that I was actually the only real one safe because of that. That's what I want to stress in my opening statements is even in the craziest tribal council of the whole season, probably the craziest tribal council we'll see for seasons to come, I don't believe I was in danger. In fact, I don't believe I was in danger this whole game. Following this tribal, I stayed in the numbers and we easily went to the final 5 with the majority. But in the time of those remaining tribals, I made possibly one of my biggest moves of finding the idol and using it to make Stan know that he could trust me and I could trust him. I staged the idol at the final 7 and the final 6 tribal before I was finally in danger for the first time. Since I wasn't aware of pre-game alliances that were made, I didn't know that Frank was with us, but I still wasn't in danger because of the idol. Someone may look at my idol play at the final 5 as a bad move, but I do disagree. This was the only tribal I was in danger at all, and I got rid of that danger finding out I was in the majority and I didn't receive any of the votes didn't make me feel like it was a bad move. All I knew that I already had successfully used that idol to get me to this point, forming an alliance within my alliance. But my favorite part actually is that I didn't need it. I was able to hold that idol until it wouldn't be rehidden, use it as the only tribal that I could possibly be in danger, only to find out that I was never in danger at all. I hope I was able to summarize my game for everybody very well, and I look forward to answering all of your questions that you have prepared. But most importantly, in case I don't say it later, I want to say how proud of myself and my game I am, and I'm so happy I got the chance to meet you all.
Nicely done, Bryce. Thank you.
Thank you.
Next up, Frank.
All right, guys. I want to thank everybody for making this experience what it was. Stan and Bryce played excellent games. The outwit part. A lot of you guys, some of you guys might not like pregame. It was a thing, so I wanted to do it better than anybody else. I knew I needed to have a strong person to align with, a final two that would have my back no matter what. Luckily, I had talked to Stan prior to the game even being announced. I think it was June 19th we started talking. Became an instant bond, but I knew I needed a strong four to get to the end. I knew I didn't want that four to ever feel like they were on the outs. So I formed Young Blood Alliance, which was a 3 with Cody and Denny. I talked them into bringing in more people, bringing in Stan. I knew if I could have them bring in Stan with me, they wouldn't feel on the outs, so they wouldn't want to turn on us. The pregame I did with the return players is I put out a light line to all the return players, just so that way if I knew I would get team captain spot. I knew Corey was going to be a team captain because I reached out to Poop to find out who to vote for. I played with the return players to be kind of naive and looking for help with the light game, just so I'd have the door cracked open if I needed to open that door. I didn't need to open that door at all because everything went how I wanted it to go. I got the team I wanted. Logan didn't get picked on my team because he had 0 social media presence. Justice and Bryce, I picked them up. If we had lost one game, Bryce would have been the first one out. Justice, you were going to be safe. I could tell Bryce was smart. He was a great 6th pick. More without wit. I wanted my alliance. I wanted to be a target. I wanted to put myself out there. I wanted to be boisterous and vocal at challenges, because if the target was on me, everyone would feel safe. The paranoia level would go down. If we didn't have paranoia in the group, we wouldn't fracture and we wouldn't crack easy. I needed people like Pook and Ryan and Corey to be big targets and to stay in the game so I could keep throwing the target at them, to keep the pressure off myself. Outplay. Flawless. I was practicing the water challenge all week with 20 pounds above my head on the couch. I wasn't going to drop. When I found out it was all of our tribe had to stay strong, I was just motivating. I knew that we had it because the people that I picked, I had a doctor who was a diehard fan. I knew he wasn't dropping. I had 2 people that served in the military, which is part of the reason why I picked them for that original strong 4-4 loco. The Hangman Challenge. Bryce came up with a word abruptly. I was the one that, everyone agreed on that word. I was the one that said we should use a medical word, giving Dr. Stan the time to shine there, coming up with a phenomenal word that I think guaranteed us that win. Battleship, my strategy there was to make sure I talked to Cody and Stan. We all knew where our spots were. My goal was to find out where everyone else was. It wasn't about me winning. That was about keeping it away from the other tribe. With the outplay, also, Stan and myself won all but one. Pook was the only person to ever win from the other tribe. I got Denny to throw a challenge to me to keep it out of Bryce's hands. And now last, I made it to the end against all odds. The other team was coming at me hard, preaching nonstop. I put that big target on me, knowing that towards the end, it would be hard and I would need to win something. I won at Final 5, which I think there was a good chance that somebody was going to take a shot at me there. I couldn't believe that Justice went home. I thought for sure I was leaving. Stan played that idol on me, and I thought that was going to save me. But the biggest flaw in Bryce's game was not teaming up with Cody at the end. Like, they should have. I knew Stan wasn't turning on me. Me and him, Dr. Jackal, Mr. Hyde Alliance, that was strong from the get-go. I would have not turned on him. I would have forced a 2-2 split. I was expecting that. I actually wanted the 2-2 split. I wanted to challenge. I wanted to win that because I feel if they would have been a 2-2 split and I would have won, then there would have been no question that I won this game. I think Stan played a phenomenal game. He was a challenge threat. He's that's where I'm nervous is losing to him. But I feel my social game was so strong that it's going to give me the win here tonight. I'm excited. I hope these questions are really challenging, and I wish the other two the best of luck.
Thank you, Frank. Well done. Stan, you're up.
All right. First of all, thank you guys so much. I think this crew is epic. I'm glad that regardless of what happens here, we're going to be friends all after this game. And congratulations to Frank and Bryce for making it to the finals. Coming into this game, this is a group of Russell Hantz patrons. So if you're a Russell Hantz patron and you're paying money to subscribe to his podcast, you have to have a little villain in you. So I took a completely different route in this game. I played behind a bottle of wine. I played behind some cool buffs. I played behind the unassuming Dr. Stan vibe, and I had a lot of fun. I got shout outs from the peanut gallery. Hey, give me another bottle of wine. But the entire game, I was observant, right? I adapted, but at the same time, I did my homework. And when Frank approached me from an alliance, I'm like, I'm down. He told me about every single person that he was working with. I'm like, I'm down. I'm never going to say no to an alliance. But at the end of the day, I know that there's a lot of game to be played within that mini, and I adapted. And one of the biggest moves I made in that game is actually forming an alliance with Bryce that nobody knew about. Right after I played the idol on Frank, the idol was re-hidden, and he found it and he told me right after, and I knew I had to be super aggressive. Hey bro, let's go all the way to the end together. So that kind of set my game up, still without a target on my back the whole time. I don't think any one of you guys targeted me until the final 5. Part of it was because I was immune, but most importantly, part of it was because I had Frank right in front of me. Everyone was coming after Frank. I knew if someone was going to go after our alliance, they'd take a shot at Frank first, right? So not only that, I knew I had at least one more vote if he got the moves. And second of all, my name was never out there. There's a different way to play Survivor. You don't have to be the loud and the most boisterous one. You don't have to be the one that's kind of completely under the radar and just somehow emerge themselves in the final 3. I wanted to disarm everybody. I wanted to disarm everybody with my fun character and, everyone having fun, small talk here and there. But at the end of the day, as doctors, we have to be observant. I observed every single one of you. I was willing to work with anyone. I was actually willing to work with you, Ryan, with you, Pook, and with you, Corey, because I know that I was probably number 4, and I was assuming I was number 4 in whatever pre-make alliance that Frank was made. But, Ryan, you lied to me that first time, and it only takes one lie to just prove distrust. Pook, you're an amazing player. So, I had to do what I had to do. I knew that Frank was loud, boisterous. He sweat through his clothes 4 times. And by virtue of him, I knew I had Cody and Denny. But, I unfortunately, because of his loud and boisterous nature, I knew that I could put himself right in front of me with all the targets and blindside plans, as what Cody and Denny say, or at least Cody said, they're planning on blindsiding Frank, but they didn't have to take a shot at me until the final 5. So, I wanted to make sure that coming into 5, I had 2 extremely solid allies that I knew were not going to take me out. Number 1 was Frank. I knew before the game even started that he wasn't going to take me out. In the final, within the merge, I played my idol. I played my idol on Frank, and it didn't work. But you know what it worked for? His psyche. That reaction was extremely crazy. Boom, I knew for the rest of the game, Frank's not going to go after me. And the second move I made was with Bryce. I locked that vote in, and this is the final 3 I wanted. Because when it was down to 5, Frank and Bryce can say whatever they want. I think in the final 5, when Denny and Cody, and I overheard when I walked into the chat, this is the final 3 right here. Right? So I went to Bryce, who was my ally for 4 rounds now. Out of the 4 local, he was tightest with me. Bro, I'm not going to do it. I had already told Frank, he's like, Stan, throw your vote somewhere. No, throw it to Denny. Frank, vote Denny, don't vote me. And when I went to Bryce, I'm like, Bryce, do whatever you want with the idol. Play it on you, play it on me. Vote for Denny. And then Bryce was like, no, but I don't trust Frank. I'm like, trust me, I do. So I trusted Frank, I trusted Bryce. They didn't trust each other. They weren't really working together. But because the only time I was really vulnerable in the game was at 5 and I didn't have immunity to protect me, I didn't go home. I had immunity, I outwitted you know, my two good friends. I outplayed. I won 3 challenges, found an idol. I argue I win 4 challenges because of Mix-a-Viral. And, you know, I outlasted. I'm a newbie at this game, and I kind of used that strategy, being cool, calm, collected, but a little bit of cutthroat to get to where I am. So I'm looking forward to listening to your questions, and, you know, let's get it on.
Well done, Stan. Thank you. I'll ask Cody first to ask either one question to all the jury members or one question to each member individually. You have the floor, Cody.
All right, thanks, Ben. And congratulations, guys, on making it to the final 3. I really did have a good time playing with all of you. I didn't necessarily come prepared with the question because I wanted to hear your pre-jury speeches ahead of time. And I'm glad that I did. I think you guys did a good job with that. My questions are mostly, so as a Survivor fan, I think what I appreciate most is, even though I was on the losing end of the pregame alliance with Stan and Frank, I do appreciate that kind of gameplay because I am a Survivor fan, and I do think that putting that into the game is what makes it interesting. So Bryce, nothing personal. I don't really have any questions for you at this time, but I do, between Stan and Frank, listening to your speeches ahead of time, it sounded like I kind of started off with the impression that like you guys were working as a 2 and then decided to bring Danny in, but then later it sounded like maybe that wasn't the case, and I don't know. So can you just explain to me, because this is going to show me like your social game and the strategy that you put into play ahead of time, just kind of break down for me, we'll start with Frank, how the Four Loko pregame alliance kind of came to be.
So the day the game was announced, the very first, before we knew we were playing, I sent a message. I also had files on all of you guys.
Oh my God, that's
Stan,
like FBI status, bro.
I have a message, the day the message happened, which was the 24th, I believe, was the day the game was announced. I sent a message to Stan. We had already been talking. I said, Alliance, he was my number 1. I knew I wanted to be able to play this game again, so I knew I couldn't cut everyone's throat. I had to have someone I was loyal to no matter what. If we would have been at the final 5, if it would have worked out to where you 2 could have blindsided him and got him out without my help and kept the blood off my hands, I'd have been fine with him leaving. But I wasn't going to cut him. I wanted to be able to come and return and play again and have someone trust me. But it started with Stan, and I told Stan, I was like, we need more. I researched every person. I asked like 12 questions in the first social round just because I wanted to keep the questions going. I already knew where all you lived. I knew the only person I didn't know about were the people that didn't have stuff online. I wanted to bring in people. I knew you guys had a military background. You were the older, you were new, fresh players. So I knew that if I got to you guys soon, which I believe I got to you before anybody else, I got you 2, and I wanted to keep you guys feeling safe. I wanted you to feel like Stan was on the outside of the alliance. To build trust with Stan, I was sharing all the information with Stan. Just like I shared all the information with you guys, I text Stan and I said, I'm about to fill your messenger up with some stuff. Reply this. And he did that, and then I sent you guys that screenshot to show that he was in our alliance, our Four Loko alliance. I put in so much pregame work, it was ridiculous, and I think that's why I made it to the end. Did that answer your question?
Yes, thank you.
Cody, to answer your question, I feel like this game has a lot of adaptability that's involved into it, a lot of legwork that has to come in beforehand because pregame alliances are fair, but you know, there is still a lot of game to be played, right? So I think I knew exactly what was going on. Frank told me everything, and you know what I did? I let him do it, right? I let him do it because I knew he was the ringleader of the alliance. I knew he was going to get the target. I knew he was going to get the heat from you and Danny for actually turning on you. But at the end of the day, I knew that this game is something that has a lot of homework, and I did my homework by saying yes. I knew he was talking to Corey. I knew he was talking to Amber. I mean, I didn't do that for a reason. I actually talked to Devin, but he wasn't here. But that's because he was doing some buff business with me. But I knew Frank was doing that, so I didn't have to do it. But what I knew I wanted to do was I wanted to form strong relationships with you guys, because you guys are great people. Trust me, I love you guys. But at the end of the day, I wanted to adapt, and I wanted to make sure that this game is not just everything that happens before. There's gonna be part of the game in the game, and what I did was I used my really strong relationship with Frank to get through, but at the same time, I used my new formed alliance with Bryce to kind of nick it in the jugular. Because at the final 5, if my alliance was just Frank, you, Denny, and myself, I would be gone. Because Denny, you, and Bryce would have taken me out because Frank was immune because I had no relationship with Bryce, right? The two of you, all he needed to do was cast his vote against me and I'd be gone, right? So I not only did I do my homework, which is say, yes, Frank, go Frankie, yo-ho, pom-poms out, let's go Frank, but I also adapted in the game and formed an unbreakable alliance with Bryce. To the point when he exited the chat with you and Denny, he's like, bro, I'm not doing that. It's you, me. What can you do to survive? And I already knew I had Frank voting for Denny. And I told Bryce, hey, vote for Denny. Why? Because Frank's voting. I don't trust him. I don't trust Frank. I'm like, I know you don't, but I do. He's voting for Denny. Vote for Denny. Play the idol on you. You're safe. Let's go to the finals. I got you. And so that's how I got to the end. I played the game. I had blood. I admit, I'm sorry, guys, but I had blood on my hands for taking Denny, and I taking Cody out, right? And those moves were mine, and it's a testament to my social game. I had a relationship with Bryce that was stronger than the relationship y'all had with Bryce. I had a relationship with Frank that was stronger than what y'all had with Frank. That's a testament to my game, and I hope you guys can respect that, not only from a pre-game perspective, but a during the game perspective as well.
Great, thank you, Stan. And I guess, Bryce, I do have one question for you, because this was in the game, and even thinking back about it, I think it was pretty clear that Stan and Frank were pretty strong, both of them pretty strong pre-game and during the game. What was it that made your decision? Because at final, what was it, 5, you really were at kind of, you were in a pivotal position. Like you could go with Stan and Frank, or you could go with Denny and I to put yourself in the final 3. So what made you choose to go with Stan and Frank over Denny and I?
I think it was very simply that Stan had approached me during the game much more than anybody else. That was definitely the truth, and I did feel that him and I were a duo.
That's true.
And I also honestly felt that Frank would be easier to beat at the end than you, Cody.
Okay. Surprise, but thank you. I appreciate that.
Oh,
Dang. Shots fired. Boom, boom.
Was I wrong? I don't know yet, but that's what I thought. Yeah.
Yeah, I don't know either. I felt like Frank was playing a game that would earn him more votes than I was. I figured if I went to the final with Frank, there was no way in hell that I would beat him. But that's quite a compliment. I appreciate it. Thank you. That's all I've got, Ben.
Thank you, Cody. That's good. Denny, you're up. Floor is yours.
All right. Congrats, guys, on making Final 3. I can say that I definitely appreciate good gameplay, and we saw some of that, so good job. And we also saw some terrible gameplay. And of course, I think one of those was voting me out. So Stan, you did touch on it a little bit, but I want to hear from each of you individually about it. And I don't want you guys like going on and on and on. I'm actually going to cut you off when I'm done listening to you. I just want to know whose idea, and I know Stan touched on it, but I want to hear it from you guys each. Whose idea was it to vote me out and why? And Bryce, I'm going to start with you.
Okay. Yes, it was Stan's idea. We went into the other, we went into the other room right after that. Me, you, and Cody had just gotten done saying, yeah, we're the final 3. I was already tight with Stan, and nobody knew that. Stan let me know that the vote was you. He wasn't even letting me know that we had Frank at this point. He was actually letting me know that you guys were voting for me. I don't know if he actually knew anything about that, but that was why I played my idol, is because Stan was like, I think they're voting you. And I wasn't even sure if we were going to have the numbers. I thought my idol was a 50-50 play. And I wasn't sure what kind of game you were playing, Denny. We talked, I think, probably the least, sadly. We just never really got that chance to have that one-on-one conversation. And so when Stan said we should vote for you, I said, okay.
Frank.
The vote for you was strictly to protect Stan. because I felt that if my immunity shield wasn't there in the next round, I was gone. I knew, I had a gut feeling Bryce had that hidden immunity idol. I was pretty confident that if one of you guys had it, we would have talked about it earlier when it was found. Maybe not if you would have found it that late in the game, but earlier when that was found, I think you guys would have told me so we could have strategized about it. That's why the vote went on you. Before Stan gave Bryce that information on who to vote for, me and Stan were sitting there brainstorming, who should we take? It was between you guys. We just felt like we didn't want to take a girl that would get votes. We thought you probably were gonna slaughter us better in the end. And I thought you would be maybe less angry with me if I voted you over Cody.
All right, Stan.
I first of all, I apologize for voting you. That was my idea. I completely own up to it. And you mentioned in your speech that it was like a terrible gameplay, and I understand that everyone's a hero in their own story, but unfortunately this is a game of Survivor, a game of deception, a game of playing the game. I knew I wanted to target one of you or Cody because I had heard that you and Cody wanted to team up with Bryce to take me out. So because you guys didn't want to work with me, that gave me the go signal and full ammunition to cash in on my social relationships with Bryce and Frank, and I only needed 3 to take whoever I wanted out. And unfortunately, Denny, we didn't have a chance to talk that round. I already knew where your vote was going to, and it's definitely going on me because Frank was immune. And so to preserve my game, to get myself further, and then one more spot to the end because I knew Frank wasn't taking me out. I knew Bryce wasn't taking me out. And so actually,
I'm good now.
All right, thank you.
Thanks.
Thank you, Denny. Next up in the boot order is Corey. You have the floor.
All right, guys. Congratulations to you, all 3 of you, for making it to the final 3. Very good job. The one thing I have to say, as much talking as I did during the game towards you, Frank, I actually don't have any questions for you because I think your stellar gameplay says enough for itself. I have questions, however, for some decisions that were made late in the game by Stan and by Bryce. Stan, you even admitted at one point in the game that you were comfortable with that you were okay with taking second place if it meant that you were loyal to Frank. Explain that thought process of being comfortable with second place if it meant you being loyal, because I just have a hard time understanding that. So
I'm not. I'm not, but during the game, of course, I'm going to say it because that disarms you guys and takes the threat away from me. I know that me and Frank have played very different games. I think Frank has a more salient, more boisterous, more in-your-face kind of game, but I played the game kind of under the radar. Not so much under the radar, but the second in command, or at least what y'all perceive as second in command. But at the end of the day, behind the scenes, I was working all my angles. I was listening to all you guys, and I made the moves that I had to, and I don't want to reiterate them. I made the moves. I put myself in a position where I would get to the final 3, and I knew that hopefully this platform I can explain the moves I made because it wasn't obvious, right? The final 5 move was just you guys figuring it now that it was my fault that then he went home. So it wasn't obvious, but I wanted it to be not obvious because if I can get loud too, in the words of Sandra Diaz-Twine, no problem. But I use that as a strategy. I think it's a fair strategy to kind of let the person do the dirty work and let me make it count when I needed to make it count, and I did that.
I would argue, though, Stan, that it almost comes off like you're the one who did all the dirty work, and Frank was able to actually be the boisterous one who, in some ways, was able to have you do some things behind the scenes that actually panned out for him more so than maybe you, because, you had an opportunity to eliminate the biggest threat to win the game. I was saying it all the way up until I got eliminated, and I was serious that Frank was the most deserving person so far of winning this game. You had a Final Four opportunity at Final Four to get rid of Frank, and you used it to put all the target on Cody. You were hammering Cody hard, and you didn't even think at all about getting rid of Frank at that point.
I completely agree that taking Frank might be my death sentence, but I think I played a strong enough game, and what you mentioned, I did all the work behind the scenes, and there's no one way to play Survivor, guys. There's no one way to play, the loud, and that's not how you get to the end. Like, one wrong move, Frank's gone, and what am I? Like, I'm next because I was loud? No, I secured my position in the game. I made sure I got to the end the way I wanted to get to the end. I actually took the 2 people that were loyal to me in the game, that never wrote my name down. And you know what? It's part strategy, but part of it, sometimes you can play as ethically as possible and still do a pretty good job. And I think I did that.
All right. Thank you, Stan. Actually, Bryce, my question for you actually is going to feed right off of what Stan just said there about loyalty to him. Bryce, at Final 5, Cody touched up on the fact that that Stan was that he touched up on the fact that you didn't take out Stan when you had a chance, because obviously Frank was immune. What was it about, like, you had to have known that Stan was going to probably stay loyal to Frank, right? So were you content with going to the Final 3 with Frank and Stan?
No, you have to understand that I didn't know about pregame alliances that were made.
Okay.
At this point, I knew that Stan and Frank were aligned, and I wasn't sure, and I didn't know that they were inseparable. I wanted Frank out at 4, as you saw. Stan didn't want Frank out at 4. He told me that we had a better chance of beating Frank at the end than Cody, and I kind of agreed with him. And if that is downfall, then that's our downfall. But I was going to stay with Stan. I wanted to be Final 2 with him if there was a Final 2, and I was ready to get whoever we needed out when we needed to besides that.
Okay.
And one more thing, Corey, sorry. I just wanted to clarify to everybody that I was tight with Frank, but Bryce didn't know to the extent of how tight Frank and I were. And on the flip side, what I kept from Frank is how tight I was with Bryce. And Frank didn't know how tight I was with Bryce. So I had both of them tight with me without them knowing that they were as tight with me. Because Frank didn't know about his idol and I did.
Okay.
Can I say something?
You know what? Yeah, Frank, say one thing, because I really kind of didn't give you a chance to speak, but okay.
Yeah, I didn't know that they were that tight, and I also didn't care if they were. I was the one, I suggested before they were tight that Bryce and Stan get tight. I was the one that told them to go. I wanted them to go to you guys and pitch my name. Bryce didn't know I was a threat because I spoke 0 game with Bryce. Because Bryce was originally going to be the first one out. When we decimated the other tribe and he was there at 5, I just knew I needed to get him to use that extra vote, which would have been the only tool he had really to come at me. I was so shocked that the vote didn't get split at Final 2, but I guess that was because I didn't speak any game with him and I let Stan do all that. I didn't need Bryce because I had everyone else. I needed to keep someone on the outs for when you guys were gone.
Okay, I like it. All right, guys, thank you. Congratulations, all 3 of you guys.
Thank you, Corey. Next up is Mr. Pook.
All right, let me think here. Who's the final 3? No, I'll start with Bryce. Okay, let me think here. You came into the game last, so you didn't really have time to pregame. Who was the first people that you contacted, and do you think that you made the right decision?
First people that I contacted at the very beginning of the game, I guess, I never was able to really personal message anybody or anything because I did join the game, not even before. I joined the game 2 minutes after it had already started. So the first people I contacted was just whoever I was able to get one-on-one conversations with. I think it happened a little bit at the beginning of the game with Stan, which led me to later trusting him with the idol. And I believe the only other person I even talked to one-on-one at the beginning of the game was Cody, and everything else was just keeping things to my tribe. If we ended up having to go to tribal, I had a plan of trying to get Stan, of trying to get Cody. Whether if that worked or not, I don't know, but it didn't end up mattering. But I didn't have a chance to pregame at all.
All right, thank you. Frank, let me think here. So, did you go to the end with the people that you think you have the best chance to win against? Or do you think there would be a better two to be sitting next to you?
I think that I went to the end with someone that would be the hardest for me to beat because I don't think anybody beat me socially.
Which one's the hardest to beat?
Stan, and that's because of all his immunity wins. I mean, he dominated there. He outplayed me in the immunities. He was a strong competitor in the tribe competitions. So I knew that, but I didn't take him to the finals. That's what you got to understand. I was completely powerless at Final Four. I wouldn't have voted against him, but I sure would have. I would have let it go to a 2-2 split. I wouldn't have pitched a 3-way to 1. I would have let it go to the 2-2 split. That answer your question?
Yeah. Do you consider it a big move that you convinced Stan to bring you to the end?
Yeah, I think it was a huge move.
Do you think he made a mistake by bringing you?
I think he made a mistake by pitching Cody so hard at Final Four. Because I was pitching a 2-2 split, and when I found out that he was leading the charge against Cody, that's when I just shut my mouth and was like, I might not even have to do a 2-2 challenge. I might just get a free ticket to the finals. So I'm glad that I didn't turn on him. I'm glad that I did hold my bond to him, because now in the next game, when me and you are playing, you're going to believe that I have your back no matter what if I create that final 2 deal with you. If I screwed over everyone, I would have never had a chance to play ever again.
No, I won't. Stan, so let me ask you kind of the same question. Are you sitting by the two people you think you have the best chance to win against?
I think, it's fairly obvious, and I don't need to reiterate anything, that Frank is someone who I think would represent our season well. He's done so much legwork, so I think that he would be difficult to beat in the finals as well. And, Bryce has a game. He came in with 0 pregame relationships. He did not know, he didn't have a chance to join Four Loco. He didn't have a chance to join y'all's pregame alliance. On the flip side, I think both of them are equal in difficulty to beat, but I stick to what I did, which was I made the moves I had to make to get myself and position myself with the best chance to win. And hopefully my final tribal illuminates that.
How long did it take you to realize that you were going to take Frank instead of Cody?
When I took out Denny at 5, my target was Cody at 4, just because it's, they were the two that flipped on me, and I knew, regardless of the immunity win, regardless of whether I won immunity at 4, I knew that I had Frank and Bryce. If they weren't going to target each other, they were going to target Cody. So it depends. I knew that once I got the move at 5, that I was into 3. So
all right, thank you guys.
That's
good. That's good, Stan. I appreciate it. You guys did good. Congratulations to everybody. Good luck.
Thank you.
Thank you, Pook. Next up is Ryan.
All right. I'll say I came in here not knowing who I'm voting for at all. I have no idea, right? So this is all good information. But I'll tell you one thing. I'm not basing it off who can win rock, paper, scissors and battleship and shit. I don't think there's a such thing as a immunity threat. So that's not a factor. Also, I do give Bryce credit. I think, Frank just showed that he had like our social security number and stuff. Bryce came in without being able to do any of that. So I'll give him credit for that, because that's pretty impressive, to be honest, to get to the end. Because I did a lot of pregame myself. It didn't work out, obviously. But I'll give you credit for doing that. Now, what I want to talk about, this is exciting. What I want to talk about is all of your intro statements were just unbelievable. Like, outwit. Okay. So, Bryce, you mentioned, all of you brought up the move at the first vote at the merge, which you guys got completely bamboozled, and it was borderline embarrassing for Survivor fans, to be honest. Okay? So Bryce mentions that, you gave me the idea that maybe I should be considering taking you or working with you later, so that's not why I didn't vote for you. Honestly, I didn't vote for you because I had 30 seconds to decide, and Justice was the first name that came to my mind, so sorry, Justice. I just knew they wouldn't play an idol on it. Stan, you love mentioning the lie. I did lie to you. And the only reason you caught me in a lie is because I wasn't able to talk to Corey before I talked to you. And it was unfortunate we said the same thing. But you said a lie to me, the same conversation. And I caught you lying without anybody giving it to me. So you said you're so observant, but you couldn't even tell I was lying to you until you got to talk to Corey. So I don't know. And then Frank's social game, we had the infamous vote against me that got recounted and stuff. And I mean, from what I've heard recently, you were actually supposed to go home. If Pookie wasn't the most paranoid Survivor player to ever play the game and switch his vote, Frank was supposed to go on that vote. So the social game didn't really work. We actually had it flipped on him. So my thing is right now, I don't know who I'm going to vote for, but I'll tell you right now, outwit was not part of the equation of why I got to the end. So I want to know, what was the key for each of you to get to the end? And again, whoever has the best answer to this, that's who I'm voting for. Because I think I know what it is, but it was not outwit. So that's my hint. Go ahead, Bryce.
Okay. I think I'm gonna think about my answer real fast if you don't mind.
All right, go ahead, Frank.
Okay.
Say that question again, and then I'll answer right away.
What was your key to get to the end? And I said it's not outwit. So I think I know what your key was, all of your key, but it was not outwit. Go ahead.
My key to the end.
Your key play to get to the end. What was important?
Was
most important thing.
I think getting the final 5 immunity, talking Denny into throwing that to me. I think I would have been out there. I think that was a key move. But I think going undefeated was the biggest move that we did, and that was not really in my control. That was just kind of the luck. But pre-gaming, hard.
All right, Stan.
I think my key to making it to the end was my social game. I started very early on. I knew to disarm you guys, bottle of wine, having fun, talking, laughing. This took the target out of me. Like, come the merge, no one was talking about me till the final 5. And most importantly, relationships. Relationships I made before the game and during the game with Frank, with Denny, with Cody, and during the game with Bryce. And that saved my butt when it was time for me to go. And that's what kept me in the game and made it to the end.
Bryce, you ready?
Yes. I do believe that my key move was adaptability. I do think that adapting to the situation that I saw that we were obviously going to pick you guys off at the final 6 and the final 7, how we did at the final 8. It was going to get down to the final 5 of us that were in an alliance together, and I was going to need something at the final 5. So I did something very early, 3 tribal councils earlier, to make something with Stan. Obviously, you can tell that I was not in the situation, and I was probably going at 5 if I didn't do something, and I didn't do something fast and early. I did get that done early. I made that alliance with Stan. I had already talked to Cody, and even Cody and Denny were trying to get me, and instead of being at the bottom at the final 5, I became the swing vote at the final 5, and I did that early.
All right, well, Frank, you had the right answer. There was no social game or anything. If you guys didn't win the first 3 challenges, none of you would be sitting at the end.
No.
Frank gets my vote. All right, I'm done.
Thank you, Ryan. Bryce, by the way, your feed is a little bit blurry.
By the way, I'm actually not bitter. I had a lot of fun, though. Congratulations one more time.
Nice. Thank you, Ryan. And next up would be, of course, Justice. Yeah, Bryce, you're still a little. We'll see.
Come on.
Fixed it the other day. I think it's marginally better. Yeah. That's better.
There we go.
That's
Okay.
much better.
Thank you.
Alrighty. Well, congratulations, all of you. We all, every jury member, all the final 3 probably know the biggest 2 tribals were the first merge tribal and then the final 5. First merge, let's say all 3 of you got blindsided. The 6 of us got taken down by 3, a 6-3 vote. I don't know if they all worked together, if one of them did it all, but they played the idol in the right place. We did not play it in the right place. And then somehow we put 5 votes on one person and then 3 votes on the other person when it was supposed to be 5-4. So I don't know. Whatever, we had no gameplay right there. Then the next tribal, I want to start off my first question with Frank. So you're saying Denny threw that challenge to you. What challenge was that again?
It was the flipping of the cards. I had the lead for a while. Bryce
Okay.
came in the second round and took the lead on me. I knew that if Denny got a couple matches, there wouldn't be enough for me to take that lead back. So by getting her to throw it, I was up after her, and I knew I could clean the board and take home that win, keeping it out of Bryce's hands and putting it in mine, keeping mine safe.
Okay. So with her throwing it to you, how come you decided to vote her instead of Cody out of the game? Because I feel like there could have been more gameplay with Denny if you guys were just trying to get rid of a big target, which was Cody.
I felt like to me, they played the same game. I was in a same alliance with them, same pre-gaming. Most of our conversations were all three of us together. So it was an even split. I felt that a girl might get more votes in the end. So she got, me and Stan decided to go with her. We had a little powwow right before that vote.
All right. And then let's go with Bryce.
Okay.
So, of course, you have the same story as me. Well, not really. But I don't know. I just see this whole pregame thing as my biggest failure. But there's so much way, as you use the word adaptability, you could have adapted and changed the whole game up. I'm surprised that none of you decided to ever try and work with the other tribe, as they did. You could have brought numbers with them later on. So what was your reason to never flip?
My reasoning for not flipping to the other tribe was very simply, I would have been on the bottom of that tribe, and I didn't think that at that point I was at the bottom and I still had a lot of work to do in my tribe. Okay, Frank. I do believe that if I made that move, even as you saw, we said we were gonna vote for Frank, and if I did put my votes on Frank, since they didn't tell me a name, then it wouldn't have even mattered, which it would have even shown that I was on the bottom still. I didn't really have a good chance to ever go to the other tribe, and I don't think I ever would, because even right after that vote is when I made my alliance with Stan.
All right. And then Stan, I just want to say good job for having both people on your side of the lines. My biggest question for you is basically, I don't know what it is. I don't know. You just played a really well game, and I'm glad that you're honest with all of it. It comes back down to that where you guys all broke up at the final five. Is like, I feel like it could have gone a lot better, because between all of us, that was probably a really terrible move. We don't see the gameplay in it. I don't think it's a bitter part on us. It's just that we saw it from a different angle. But yeah, I don't really have a question.
I mean, if I can refute mention, like, I can see how you guys think it's a terrible angle, but my back was on the line. If I sat back and didn't do anything, I'd be gone. I would be in the jury, right? If I had just let Denny and Cody take Bryce and take me out at 5, I wouldn't be sitting here, right? It could be, in perspective is everything. I think if you guys think it was a terrible move to take Denny out, well, she was coming after me. So what am I going to do when someone's coming after me and I know about it? I'm going to flip it the best way I know how to take the person or the people, Cody and Denny, who were targeting me out of this game. So I'm sorry if you guys think it's a bad move. I think it was one of my best moves to get me where I'm at. It wasn't a move that Frank did for me. It was a move that Bryce did for me. It was a move that I did for me. I think it was absolutely instrumental. Call it what you may for me to get to the end, and I stand by it.
I also would like to say that I felt like I knew Bryce was going to play an immunity. I knew he had it. I knew it'd be dumb for him to not to play it. And I knew I wanted to keep Stan with me to be a shield and help protect me. I knew he was going to help me win immunity and keep them out of other people's hands so I could get the people out that I wanted out. I didn't get to play a lot of game with people that I wanted to play with because we had the numbers the whole game and everything went exactly how I planned. So I didn't get a chance to play a scrambling game and you guys to see big moves because everything just went as planned. If I could have got 4 Loco to the end and got Bryce out that, if I would have had that hidden immunity idol, Bryce would have went out 500%. If I would have had that in my pocket and known that he wasn't going, I would have never put the vote on Denny. I would have put it on Bryce. They would have put it on Stan, and then Denny and Stan would have went on Denny, and it would have been a 2-2 split.
Correct.
And then I would have had to make a whole different, but that's what if, so.
Right, and to add, to kind of piggyback on that, had we gone and taken out Bryce in the final 5, and it was me, Cody, Denny, and Frank, I'd be in a terrible position because I would get the votes from Denny and Cody and I'd automatically go to a final 4 tiebreak. I didn't do that because I knew I had to look one step further. If I had kept Bryce, who was loyal to me and not to the other 3, I knew that no matter what happened before, I could guarantee Bryce, and I also knew that I had Frank. So there was no tie, and I could have easily flipped Frank and Cody to vote for Bryce at 4 if I didn't win immunity, or vote for Frank. So I secured my place in the game by making that move at the final 5.
All right. Thank you.
No problem.
Thank you, Justice. All right. Next up would be Karen.
I don't know.
Sorry, Karen.
Okay. All right. So I guess good job to the 3 of you. I feel like it's hard to judge these games in a way because you have like Frank on one end of the spectrum that basically had the whole game planned out before it started, and Bryce who joined after it started. So it's really hard to compare those 2 games because like there's no one way to play and there's no one way to get to the end, but you have to play with the cards that you're dealt. And I think Bryce, you did amazing at that. I mean, I don't know, especially in like a short mini game, like that's great, but it's also hard to compare that to people who like worked beforehand. But it's not really fair to judge those 2 types of games together because they're so different. And I mean, it's not your fault you couldn't pregame. But on the other end, like I feel like Frank pregamed to the extreme, like like files on everybody, I guess, which I mean, great for doing your homework, and it worked for you, so that's good. I guess what was in I have a question for Frank. What was in my file that made you not want to work with me? Because I never heard from you.
We actually did have very, very light, and I wanted to keep it very light with you and Pook and Corey. I wanted to keep it very light because I knew that I was going to be a captain. I knew I wasn't going to pick you. I knew who I was going to pick. It was 4 Loco. I knew you wouldn't make it to the 5th or 6th pick because I knew you were previously playing with some of these return players. And yeah, that's why.
Okay.
The whole question? That answer your whole question?
Yeah. For you, yeah. I guess based on what
I wanted to play with you. I thought we were going to lose. I didn't expect us to win everything. If we would have lost, I knew I could have lost two challenges as a tribe and still made it to merge. And then I could have been a little scrambly because it would have been just the 4 Loco. But Bryce would have been first. 1 challenge lost, Bryce was gone.
Yeah.
Bryce was performing a little stronger than Justice in challenges. Justice was playing a very low. To me, he was playing a low-key game. Plus, when they didn't get a chance. They didn't get a chance to play until we merged. We didn't break out room once. We were all in the same tribe, all in the same room the whole time. I even got compared to Boston Rob, wanting to play the buddy system when we did go to merge.
So, I mean, I guess, like for your game, like you pre-gamed it and planned it and it worked. And that was partly due to luck, I think. Because like we also had a plan that would have worked, I think, if we would have won.
But you
even
also,
1 or 2 challenges.
You didn't get a chance to see my contingency plans. Yeah, that never got to be shown. But there were plans on plans on plans. I had backup plans for my backup plans. I wish maybe some of it could have got seen because now it looks like all my game was done in pregame because everything went as I planned.
Okay, fair enough. I don't know, I guess I feel like Stan has a more balanced game at this point because you've got these two on the extreme where like Stan did pregame, but he also seemed to adapt at the right moments. And I mean, in any game, I think the people who get to the end is partly because of luck and skill. I mean, you can't just like wind up at the end. So like, good job for making it there. But I guess it's a tough one to judge from the outside since your games are fairly different. But yeah, I guess that's all I have to say.
That's a good point. Thank you, Karen. We just got Amber left. I think that's it. Yep.
So congratulations. I'm sorry I didn't get to play longer. So my mind was, because I stayed on the whole time and watched and moved around into rooms. And so my mind coming into this tribal, I was pretty sure who I was gonna vote for. So you all have changed my minds and made it very hard. So I just, congratulations on that. So most everything was explained. All the other jurors really asked really great questions. But so I have one question for Frank, because he did do pregame and he did message me asking me if I was in the game or if I was an alternative. And yeah, so my question is, why didn't you choose me to be on your team?
I was actually going to try and get you 5th or 6th, but it didn't work out. But you would have been an early vote too, because I studied. I watched every mini that you guys could have possibly been in. I researched everything. I even saw Stan and Realfoot doing a puzzle, and that's why I knew he was going to be a great person to bring with me, like, because he killed me. And I wanted to have that light game with you in the event that I made a merge or you were on my tribe and we made it to merge together, but you would have been an early vote too. But it was a light game. That's why I never wanted to put ammo in people's guns. I didn't put names out there. I wanted you guys to give me names. I wanted to be loud. I wanted to create a target, but I didn't want anyone to have ammo against me. That's why I never put names out there until they were going to be shot off and fired.
Well, I think you all played a fantastic game, and my decision because of this tribal has changed. So good luck to all 3 of you.
Hey, Ben, can I ask Frank what was in my file too? Because he never messaged me once. I actually want to know that.
I think we all need, you might have
He didn't message you because he knew you were working with Cook and Corey.
Go ahead, Frank.
No. That was a great time.
It just says target. You were my #1 target from day one. I knew I wanted your name to be, and you were the first one that I told everyone in my tribe. I was pitching you hard.
I know, but that's my problem. Like, that was so obvious. That's why we were able to get you at the merge. Like, I don't know, like there was no deception, you know? I don't know. It was weird. It was
that move at the merge wasn't. It wasn't, that was to keep people talking, just to keep people, I knew the time in the mini was limited. It moves really fast. So I sent my tribe out to do this mission. It wasn't to really work. I didn't care. I was panicking because I thought I was gone for sure. If you guys would have taken, you guys getting rid of Justice actually didn't hurt me that much. You did a little help for me. If you would have taken Stan, Cody, or Denny, if you would have taken one of them 3, you would have disrupted the flow of power and made me alter my game. But
we would have took Stan out, but he had immunity.
Justice, do you have anything to say? You've been a whirlwind of emotions the last 5 minutes. I'm just looking at you.
All right. I just got to say, there's a goat, there's a puppet master, and then there's a scientist to the puppet master.
I gotta say though, Frank, that's so funny you called it a mission, because I did get a quick chat with Pook and Corey, and I told Pook, I'm like, guys, Justice and Bryce both said, let's go Frank, he's so vocal, blah, blah, blah. Then Stan told me the same thing. I'm like, they are scripted as hell. I think I told them, I was like, Frank set them out like a puppet master was like, tell Ryan this, tell Ryan this. It was so obvious. I'm like,
that was the plan.
The time spent doing that stopped other real game from even happening though, because it moved so fast.
It was obvious.
I knew you guys were gonna know.
We were one lucky idol away from flipping the whole game, so that's weird to like do it on purpose. I don't know.
And well, Ryan, it also allowed my numbers to feel safe, because if I was vocalizing myself as the target, they would feel safe and less likely to flip. That's what
I have no problem with that. And I was doing that too pre-merge. I was fine with being the target, you know? Play to win, not to get 8. So I'm good. I think you guys all played well. I still actually don't know who I'm voting for. I'm changing my mind again. But
they still have their closing arguments, and then we'll vote. It'll be the same order as the opening arguments. So Bryce, Frank, Stan, just a short kind of sum up what you've heard. Kind of
first again?
Mark. Go ahead, Bryce, whenever you're ready.
All right. Okay. I mentioned earlier that I was successfully able to not really be in any real danger at any tribal council. Obviously, I was going to be in danger a lot if we did go to tribal council at the beginning, but I believe I helped my tribe win a lot of those challenges. So that's not just luck. A lot of the luck challenges I feel did come later in the game, but the beginning challenges I do feel like I helped a lot. But I would like us all to remember back to the final 4 tribal council, which I feel was very rarely mentioned in all these questions for everyone that was still there after that long day. Before anyone could say anything, Frank stuck with what I believe was a very reckless approach throughout the whole game and immediately gunned for me. He explained to both Cody and Stan that I strategically dominated this game, and those were his exact words. He stressed and pleaded to them that if I were to get to the end, that I would win because of my strategy and because of my story from starting at the bottom. And yet, if you saw, I didn't panic. In fact, I did the exact opposite. I sat back in my chair. I let him give me praise for my game because I knew that not because of my strategic game and not because of my story, but because of my social game, I wouldn't be going home. Stan and I made an alliance that we knew we were solid on, since he was the only one I told about my idol. And I didn't even know about the pregame alliance that Stan and Frank were able to make before the game. But I built my alliance not just with words, but with actions. So Stan and I went to the other room. He told me Frank would probably be easier to beat at the end. And so we voted Cody out. I didn't, and still don't deny anything Frank said at that tribal. I believe it was all true. And I don't want you to mistake my confidence for cockiness. I embrace my confidence, and I believe it was something that helped me get here. When this is all over, we're going to rewatch this. And one thing they're going to think about is who ended up being the first winner. When season 2 starts up, we're going to reminisce of our time together, and once again, we are going to remember the first winner. This is what I want to leave you with. When this is all said and done, and you think back to the historic first Russell Hand Show Survivor game, there will be one person that represents us all at the winner. I believe it's me.
All right, Bryce. Next up is Frank.
All right, guys, I live and I play by it. Hustle, passion, and pride. Like, I came into this game playing hard from the beginning to the end. I feel like I had a target on me from beginning and the end. Bryce, this social game with one player, that's awesome. If it wasn't for us going undefeated, he'd have been gone.
True.
He should have went to a 2-2 split. He should have tried to gun for me at 4. On his last effort, he didn't. In the Apples game, first round, he wanted to go 12. Cody was the one that suggested 3, setting us up for that. Bryce was smart and helped strategically, but that was Cody. That wasn't Bryce, and I was vocalizing during all those challenges. What I do at my career, I'm not the smartest guy in the room ever. I put strong people around me and I build them up. I deal with leadership development. So I was great at putting the right people in the right place, making sure our team was all getting a chance to speak, and the smart people and the great ideas rose to the surface. Again, Bryce wanted to use a word that we didn't go with. Stan came up with the word, but I suggested a medical word, and I'm the one that stopped Bryce's word from going out. And I think that's the reason we won that challenge. Like I said, I didn't want to put ammo in people's guns. I did a good job with that. I won an immunity. I don't really know what else there is to say. I could have played a little, I could have pivoted and played a different game than I planned on, but everything went as planned, so I didn't have to. I wish the other two the best of luck. I hope you guys pick me as your winner. I'll represent you guys well. Like I said, I played from start to finish. I feel harder than anybody.
Thank you, Frank. Next is Stan.
Thank you guys for an incredible time. I love all of you guys, and I'm so glad to have met you guys. I played hard, and I played this game to the best of both worlds. You know, as what Karen mentioned, you know, I'm a pediatrician, so it's Goldilocks and the Three Bears, right? When you sip the porridge that's too hot, you're gonna get burned. And if you sip the porridge that's too cold, you know, you're not gonna like it. So I played with the best of both worlds. I knew what was gonna happen within the game, and I knew what was gonna happen before the game. So I played to my advantage. You know, I took the two people that I was loyal to, that I wanted to bring to the final three, and I have no regrets. And I think that they were both instrumental to getting me there. None of you guys in the jury had me as their ideal final three, but these two guys that I'm sitting next to the finals with did, and that's exactly what I wanted to happen. Going back to my opening, I wanted to come off as the jolly good old Dr. Stan and a bottle of wine. Shout out to Denise she wanted me to get 2 bottles of wine. You know, I wanted to detract the target away while still eliciting control in this game. I did have control for most of the game, and when it was time for me to be cutthroat, I was. I had blood on my hands, and I have no shame in that. You know, I convinced Frankie and Bryce to work with me in the final 5, and call it whatever you may, it got me to the end. I won 3 individual immunities. I was safe for 4 because of the Mixoviral one, and 5, it would argue, for the double tribal council. I found an immunity idol that I arguably correctly played on Frank's psyche and made him trust me even more. You know, I don't want you guys to vote for me because I'm a doctor and then Russell Hantz's son's pediatrician, or like I have a lot of cool buffs. But I want you guys, you know, to vote for me as the winner because I did control the votes for my team. I won the challenges. I played ethically, and I was loyal to my allies. I adapted to this game hard by working with Bryce. I zigged when I had to zig, zagged when I had to zag. I was like the wolf in the doctor's clothing, you know? And Frankie was a Jedi, flinging his lightsaber, zing, 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 dodging the targets and being the target himself. And I was in the back. I was like the Yoda, I would say, just kind of like, all right, this is what's going to happen. Thinking, manipulating, and paving my path to the end. I think in order to be a strong and deserving winner in a Russell Hantz's Patron Mini, you have to be a little savage, and I was a little savage with a bottle of wine and a smile. Thank you, guys.
Thank you, Stan. We're going to do the reverse boot order for the vote.
Hey, Ben.
Yes.
Since I had to go first both times, can I say one more thing? Or is that not allowed?
You can go ahead, sure.
I just wanted to say one more thing because I do feel like both Frank and Stan were both able to respond to my final speech. And I wanted to respond to something that I've heard Frank say a lot. Frank has been referred to as the puppet master. Frank has said that he was in control of everything, and the most important thing that Frank said is the most important thing, and the reason why thinks he's winning this game is because everything that he planned went perfect. But I don't think that's true because I'm sitting here right now. He had a 4 Loco alliance, and 2 of them aren't here. I'm here. I don't think that Frank was the puppet master of everything. Frank put a big target on his back and played a very reckless gameplay, but I put myself here. That's all I wanted to say.
And me.
All right, thank you. Frank, do you want to say one last thing? Because just real quick though, in response. No?
Bryce is here because we went undefeated as a tribe.
Okay.
Bryce here. And one more thing. When he couldn't see the gallery view, I knew that he needed to download something. I shut my mouth because I knew him seeing less was better for me. Because I had done the same thing. Because I logged in like an hour earlier and then didn't download it at first and then went back and downloaded it.
I think
making it more of a disadvantage. Yes.
I think both of them are in the final 4 or the final 3 because of me. I think I was the glue that held the 2 of them together and went to the end with them. So I think I was a huge catalyst to make that happen. And I don't want to beat a dead horse, but you guys have heard what I said. But yeah, I think both of them were here because of me.
I picked Stan.
Thank you, Ben.
I'm glad this isn't for $1 million.
I know, right?
No idea what I'm voting for.
Oh man, it's already.
Hey, this is practice for the real Survivor, guys.
That's what I said during the game. I was like, this is the Russell Hantz show Survivor boot
Y'all are villains.
camp.
All of y'all, including you, Poop.
Okay, the best crew of the whole
And
game.
me.
I feel like.
All right, I'll ask Cody to come into the breakout room first. Just follow that same order, and we'll have the votes and the final results soon. All right. Cody, who do you want to win, and maybe a little bit on why?
Yeah, sure. So Bryce is not getting my vote. I really don't think he had a lot of true gameplay. I think he's sitting at the end because Stan brought him. That's exactly what it is. So I've been really tied between Stan and Frank. And, I left the game thinking I was going to vote Frank. And then at certain times during this tribal council, I've kind of gone back and forth. Ultimately, I am going to cast my vote for Frank. And I'm doing that because even though I think Stan played a great game and he did have a lot of strategy in his game, I could see Frank out there doing the footwork and putting in the hard work that was a little more dangerous than Stan's.
All right, Amber.
So I came in going to vote for Frank, but hearing all the information, I've changed my vote to Dr. Stan.
Dr. Stan. All right.
Yeah, I could have played that off too. We just didn't get it.
We never did, no.
Can we listen to Ben so Frank can start breathing again?
I know, Frank. Okay.
All right, I have the votes here. Within these votes, the winner for the first Russell Hands Patriot Group Mini Battle Royale.
Is it in a peanut butter jar?
No, these are just on my desk today.
Okay.
No risking that. All right, first vote. Dr. Stan. 1 vote, Dr. Stan. Second vote. Stan. 2 votes, Dr. Stan. Third vote. Frank. 2 votes, Dr. Stan. 1 vote, Frank. Fourth vote. Frank. 2 votes, Dr. Stan. 2 votes, Frank. Fifth vote. Frank. That's 3 votes, Frank. 2 votes, Dr. Stan. Next vote, Frank. That is 4 votes, Frank. 2 votes, Dr. Stan. If Frank gets a 5th vote, he wins. Next vote. And final vote, Frank. Congratulations, Frank. If I can do it, since you're fired.
Thank you guys. Thank you.
Congratulations, Frank.
Congrats.
I'm so happy. I was so nervous. You guys had me sweating worse than last weekend. Danny, I hope you don't hate me. I want to, it started out as strategy with you and Cody, but, talking to you guys all week, I did get close to you guys, and you guys are awesome people, and I want to continue the relationship. Bryce, I'm sorry I came at you hard that last tribal. That was all game 2. I actually do respect your game a lot. A lot.
Spoken like a true winner.
I don't hate anyone.
You already won the game. No more strategy.
No, yeah, I wanted to be real with you guys. I enjoyed playing with you guys. I'm sorry if I, same thing with Corey. Me and him went at it all game, but.
That was fun, dude. That was actually fun going at it with you.